Oh, hello. Welcome to another Tabletop Impulse video. Today I'm going to update my predictions now that we've had Shadow Vaults fully revealed. I'm going to update my predictions on Shackle and Gallofall as I look at the trends, casting a bit of my own speculation in, and a few things I've heard here and there, and come up with some revised predictions for the last half of this year of Kill Team. So, just to set the stall, some things that I now believe. So this is the last time I'm going to say it on the channel, I hope. Valrak was right about the next box, okay, the Kazakin versus the Necrons, and my previously accurate source was mistaken, which means that we can kind of throw out the idea that every box this season is going to have a team that isn't a 40k unit, because now we've got a box with two 40k units. And we can kind of throw out the idea that upgrade sprues are gone, upgrade sprues are very much back. So with that in mind, I now think that my really awesome speculation and idea for an upcoming Inquisition team, we can remove that idea. I don't think we're getting an Inquisition team this year. I still think they should do an Inquisition team, you know. If I worked for Games Workshop, it would be something that I would do. But I don't think it's happening this year. I think a lot of the rumour engines and things that kicked this whole thing off, which were based around this guy's weapon and the idea that the Gland Warriors might come back, I now think that Katachan Dueling Stave is probably going to be part of a Katachan Jungle Fighters box, because if you watched the Warhammer Day presentation yesterday, you will have learned that the Imperial Guard army is going to work a bit differently in 40k. So you're going to be able to have like a squad with a unique unit entry for like Katachan Shock Troopers, and you're going to have a squad with a unique unit entry for like Krieg, whatever they're going to call them, like Krieg Veterans, and you're going to have a squad, presumably, with a unique unit entry for Katachan Jungle Fighters, and you can just use those as part of your army, so you can muddle them all around together, and so they're clearly going to do, I would say, a new box of plastic Katachans for 40k. And I think that's where this staff will come in. It will be a special weapon in that box. There'll be like a close combat focused-ish guard unit, because they said we'd only seen about 50% of the guard stuff. So I now think those were 40k rumours with very little to do with Kill Team. Maybe nothing to do with Kill Team, we'll come on to that later, but with very little to do with Kill Team. So those are my kind of suppositions and things that I now believe. So let's get on to my predictions for the next two boxes. So Soul Shackle, which is due January, February, March 2023. The name still puts me in mind of the Dark Eldar. So this part of the rumour that I was kind of speculating here hasn't changed. I still think my punt is still that we're going to get new plastic mandrakes. So this would be the new bespoke plastic kill team. It's an old Finecast kit. It needs an upgrade. Okay, it will be a good way for them to get out a random plastic unit, just like they did for the Kroot. Okay, that wasn't tied into any particular codex release or anything. It was just, here's your brand new Kroot. This would be the same thing. Here's your brand new Mandrakes. One of the slight things that gives me pause. Now, I'm not, like, I know a bit about the Dark Eldar, but the Mandrakes are not something I'm very familiar with. Like, to what extent does Mandrake, like, I can't see, these are like pseudo shadow demon guys, so I can't really see them having a comms and a medic and a demo guy and a sniper and any of this stuff. So we'll have to see exactly how that pans out. But I still think they're still my kind of punt for what could come in this box. And then I think going alongside them as an upgrade sprue team, I think Death Guard would work really well. They'd make a really good opposing force to the Mandrakes from a kind of stylistic point of view. You know, the Mandrakes are kind of lithe and unarmoured looking and agile, with close combat weapons, and the Death Guard are like slow and implacable, and they're very kind of busy and hyper detailed. They look very visually distinct, and that's cool. It would also fit the cycle. It was pointed out to me today on the Discord that if you think of the last edition of Kill Team, the last year of Kill Team, we had Box 1, which was Octarius, which was Imperial versus Zeno. And then we had Box 2, which was Novitiates versus the Pathfinders, which again, Imperial versus Zeno. And then we had box number 3, which was the Legionaries versus the Corsairs. So Chaos versus Zeno. And then we got box number 4, which was the Phobos versus the Bloodied, which was Imperial versus Chaos. It seems like this second year of Kill Team could be filling the same sort of pattern. So there's a certain link, isn't there, if you think about it, between the the first box of the last season of Kill Team being Krieg versus Orcs. Well, that's actually really similar to Navy versus Kroot. Not just it being Imperial versus Zeno, but kind of the theme of the armies as well. You've got an Imperial army force versus a sort of more naturistic, shamanistic looking group of guys. And then for the second box, last year we had the Novitiates versus the Pathfinders, and now we're going into the Kazakin versus the Necrons. I mean, again, there's a little bit of a parallel there. It does look like the Necrons are going to be more elite than the Pathfinders, but it is very much a sort of human Imperial force going up against this kind of more technologically advanced force. So the theme's quite similar. And so I could just see Plague Marines versus Mandrakes being kind of a sort of parallel to Legionaries versus Corsairs. That's not on the slide because it was literally suggested to me while I was making this video. That comes from Oro on Discord. So if all credit to him for that little sort of tidbit. But I could just see that being a thing. Games Workshop does love patterns. It's always been my premise when coming up with these rumour videos. Games Workshop loves a good pattern. I think Death Guard would, beyond that sort of stuff, I think Death Guard would make a good candidate for an upgrade sprue team, because Plague Marines is a modern, it's about a year old now. No, 2 years old now. It's a pretty modern kit, though. It's a pretty modern modular kit. It would easily take an upgrade sprue. I think that Plague Marines have a kind of obvious write-in for one of their specialists. So if you've played Compendium Plague Marines, they have a piece of equipment, their bell, and you give the bell to a certain guy, and then that guy can increase the movement of people around him in an aura. I think that piece of equipment would become a specialist, a data card in its own right, and they would give you a special backpack with a big bell on, so you can model that on. That would be pretty cool. And I think that would work really well. Now, it is worth saying there is a character, a HQ, I think, that has like a bell backpack already. So maybe Death Guard are going to be a classic White Dwarf team with a character or two pulled from the wider army. I've put that here in red. I always try and put counter indications, counterpoints to my suggestions here in red, so you can kind of see what I'm thinking about at the same time. But all in all, I think I could see this being a box. And then we move on to Gallofall. So Gallofall, this is from the last video. Gallo still is the Gallo Dark, and Fall still puts me in mind of Chaos, the biblical fall to Chaos. Plus, as Oro pointed out, we kind of due, if you want to believe that, a Chaos versus Imperium box. And, I'm going to double down on predicting Dark Mechanicum. So I predicted Dark Mechanicum in the last video as well for this box, because I do believe that they are mining Blackstone Fortress for ideas. And you've got these kind of Dark Mechanicum guys here. And now these same guys, in my view, they appear in the video, the teaser trailer they've just put up for the Dark Mechanicum in Warhammer 40k. Now, the thing everybody's focusing on in that video is the silhouette of the model they're making for 40k, the sort of winged techno demon prince advisor to Abaddon the Despoiler, big wig that's coming for 40k. But in the foreground, illustrated, it's these guys from Blackstone Fortress, like it just is. They've got the wires coming out of their heads in the same way. If you watch the video, this is the thumbnail of the video. If you go to Warcom and watch the video, there's a shot of some more of them as well. They're just these guys from Blackstone Fortress. I genuinely believe there's something based around these models. And again, like the Bloodied, I don't think it's going to be these exact miniatures. I think it's going to be these concepts, but, scaled up a little bit and tweaked a little bit and with a few more poses. But I think we're going to get a Dark Mechanicum team that has some kind of aesthetic like this coming to Kill Team. It ties in now with what we know is the 40k narrative for this year, leading up into 10th edition in summer next year, I firmly believe, which is going to be about Abaddon the Despoiler allying with the Dark Mechanicum and doing something with a load of captured Space Hulks. Well, we've got Kill Team set on a Space Hulk. Like, it's obviously going to tie in with this 40k narrative of the Dark Mechanicum doing things with Space Hulks. Like, I am very certain now, with the prediction that I made last time, that these Blackstone Fortress looking guys in the Dark Mechanicum are going to show up on a Space Hulk. I'm very confident. The only thing that I'm these could even show up sooner than April, May, June 2023. Right, there's such a shoo-in for Kill Teams. They could come even earlier. You could swap these two boxes because Soul Shackle works kind of for Dark Mech as well. Not as well as it does for Dark Eldar, but Soul Shackle, like the Dark Mechanicum, shackle demons, don't they, into their demon engines to make them work. So I really think that Dark Mechanicum could be coming. And who is an excellent opposing force for Dark Mechanicum? Well, we got Grey Knights. Right, I think it's going to be power-armoured Grey Knights. And as an upgrade kit team, not Terminators. I don't think they'll give us Terminators just yet. I think they'll be power armored Grey Knights, and I could see them being a real mirror to the Legionary Kill Team. I could see them getting a sort of mini librarian, like within the unit, like sort of upgrade kit parts to make one of these guys into like a miniature librarian fellow. I'm sure they get some other specialists as well, but that's the one that springs to mind. And again, that would make this box quite similar. I imagine you'd have a Dark Mechanicum Horde team, similar to the Bloodied, versus a Grey Knights Elite team, similar to the Phobos. Like, again, big thanks to Oro, because I think he's really hit onto something again with this kind of modelling. So that's my prediction for Gallofall. I'm sticking with the Dark Mechanicum, but we're going to say that it'll be the Grey Knights opposing them. So those are my predictions of the two boxes, but that's not all the predictions that I'm going to make this video. I'm going to make a bunch more so that I can look foolish. So we're going to talk about Warhammer Community and White Dwarf. So last year we got 4 extra teams in White Dwarf. We got the Hunter Clade, the Wormblade, the Void Dancer Troop, and the Warp Coven. That's 4. 1 per quarter. They didn't quite come out 1 per quarter. They came out kind of weirdly because of things that I believe about White Dwarf's publishing cycle and articles getting moved around at the last minute. But I believe we will get 4 teams. I don't think they'll necessarily be 1 per quarter, but I think we'll get 4 teams over the course of the year. We've already had one of our bonus teams this year. We got Space Marine Intercessors. Yes, they put those on Warcom, but I think they're going to be one of the 4 teams. Maybe they're all going to go to Warcom. Maybe they're going to stop putting teams in White Dwarf. Maybe they're going to get some in White Dwarf and some in Warcom, I don't know. But I reckon we got 3 more slots for teams not related to Kill Team big boxes this year. And I think they're going to be Leagues of Votann, something for the World Eaters, and the Kazachan Jungle Fighters. So let me just get to that. Leagues of Votann, I made a whole video about this before. I firmly believe this is going to be the next either White Dwarf or PDF team coming. It seems to me that they're holding it back to go out alongside the individual release of this box for the Leagues of Votann. I thought they might put it out by now to try and drive sales of the army box, but I think they're going to bring it out alongside the individual box. I think strongly we're going to get Kill Team rules for these the Hearthkin warriors. And then it seems inconceivable that we don't get something for the World Eaters when the World Eaters come out. With it, if it's a Warcom or a White Dwarf list, to my mind, that makes it more likely that it's going to be straightforwardly some Khorne Berserkers, and I think Khorne Berserkers will be really cool as a team. Obviously, it's a bit hard to envisage Khorne Berserker specialists in terms of things like comms and medics and snipers, because Khorne Berserkers are all just mad Khorne Berserker guys. But I could see that coming as a PDF. But I've also put a Beastman on here. If the speculation was true about the Beastmen effectively being the World Eaters version of Poxwalkers or Zangors, maybe they are going to either form part of this team, so it'll be like the Thousand Sons, where you get options and you can choose some Khorne Berserkers backed up by some Beastmen. Or maybe the team is going to be focused around the Beastmen themselves, and not include any Khorne Berserkers, which I'm sure would be kind of lame, but it's not that much different to having Novitiates or Phobos be your main teams for Sisters or Space Marines, right? You could have the Beastmen there being the main team for World Eaters. I'm sure it would upset some World Eaters players, but I still think it's possible. And my source was so sure that the Beastmen were coming. I don't think that's something somebody just made up. I still think, like I talked about it on this slide here about the Dark Mechanicum, I still think that they're kind of plumbing the Blackstone Fortress concept art. I still think these Beastmen are quite likely to appear in some form or another. So we'll get something. It'll either be, I think a combination is probably the most likely. And finally, I think Catachan Jungle Fighters, maybe even before the World Eaters, just in terms of the release schedule for 40k. I think if they must update this box for 40k. They must update this box because of what they've said in their preview for Imperial Guard, that they are going to do a thing where you can just add in a unit of Cadian Shock Troops, a unit of Catachan Jungle Fighters, a unit of Krieg into your army, and they can all play together. So I think to do that, they will update the Catachan Jungle Fighters box. I think that's where we're going to see that Catachan dueling stave and other bits and pieces. If you look on the rumour engine, there's some other bits and pieces that look Catachan as well. There's like a few bits. So I think we're going to see that. And I think it's probably going to come out with a PDF kill team or a White Dwarf kill team list as well. At least I hope it is. I hope it doesn't occupy another big kill team box slot as its main mechanism of release. Of course, that is an option, but they've already done 2 teams. You get a lot of people on the internet going, oh, this is the 3rd Imperial Guard team, or the 4th Imperial Guard team, or the 5th Imperial Guard team, because there's a lot of people that don't really like Imperial humans, that are just counting, like, depending on who you talk to, the Navy, the Novitiates, the Mechanicum, the Star Striders. These are all like going in the Imperial Guard bucket. But real talk, they've now done 2 Imperial Guard teams. They've done the Death Corps of Krieg, and they've done the Kazakin. Now, that's not the worst thing in the world. They've done 2 teams for Chaos Space Marines. You've got Legionaries and the Bloodied. And they've done 2 teams for Imperial Space Marines. You've got Phobos and the Intercessor Squad. If they did a 3rd, like, actually Imperial Guard team, though, that would start to be taking the biscuit, I think, in a real way. And the people who are already kicking off saying, oh, this is our 10th Imperial Human team, what's going on, would, I think, have real grounds to have a sort of aneurysm. So hopefully, I think these will come, but I think they will come as a White Dwarf or a PDF alongside a 40k product release. I just want to touch on this. It is largely a recycled slide from the last set of predictions that I did. I still think 10th edition will come out in July 2023. I still think that will be hot on the heels of Gallofall, the last box. I still think that will come out with a box with Blood Angels and Tyranids, with the new the Primaris Terminators, whatever that means. And I expect these will get the rules for Kill Team, just like when Dominion came out, it got Warcry rules, and those will be the annual teams for 2023. So just like Galloppox and Star Striders this year, I think the Tyranid players will finally get their team at the end of this second year in the 2023 annual, which I know if you're a big Tyranid fan, that is an appallingly long time to wait for your stuff, but somebody has to be last. And that will probably go out alongside a team featuring these new Primaris Terminators, which I expect will be ridiculously unbalanced and be the cause of much strife in the community for a couple of months until they are nerfed. But I think that's going to happen. That's my prediction now. And so we've got a slide here. What are my guys? So with all that said and done, all those rumours predicted, there are still 2 factions from the compendium that I predict will not have bespoke teams by the end of this second year of Kill Team, and those would be Custodes and Demons. Now, I would seek to argue that Demons are covered by the upcoming. See, that's me recycling slides and not updating them fully. Demons are still covered by the Gallofall team. That's my argument here. Okay. I don't know how Demon players feel about that. Personally, I think... here's the thing with Demons. As an upgrade kit team, they don't make sense to me. Because you'd have to pick, right, okay, Plague Bearers or Demonettes or Bloodletters. You pick one of them, that's your base kit, you put an upgrade kit on, and then it's just not fulfilling. It'd be mono god, it'd be weird. The kits that really make sense. I can't picture a Demonette with a radio. There's not enough texture there. The kits for each god are so, I just don't get how you get from any of those 4 basic kits to a whole kill team with as much texture as you need. So I think you end up needing to do something quite interesting with them to make them an all-new plastic bespoke team. But trouble is that then just comes out... You could do something else. You could do like a corn-themed bespoke demon team. But I think any effort to make them bespoke for kill team, you end up 40k'ing them up a little bit, and you end up with something that approaches the Gallofall infected. And we're already there. We've already got Gallofall infected. Now, I know people want the third option. They want the White Dwarf team where you buy 4 boxes and 2 characters, and then you take 3 models out of each box and you make your team. And guys that want that, I hope it comes for you, but I can't quite see it happening. Okay? Custodes are just sort of out of luck. I can't see Custodes coming out in any form other than eventually as an all-new bespoke team. I think they would need an all-new team to properly fit the setting. Something like the Eyes of the Emperor that go around sort of incognito, doing covert ops type stuff. I don't think we're going to see these kind of actual sort of Throne World Praetorian type guys coming to Kill Team as a bespoke team. I could be wrong. I think that they will actually be, for all that Tyranid players fear, they'll be waiting the longest. I feel that actually, if you really love Custodes, Kill Team... You might be waiting for quite a long time to be recognised in Kill Team. Now, those are the 2 faction level teams that are missing. If you actually want to break it down into fire teams, which Games Workshop has shown an interest in doing, so we've just got a 2nd Imperial Guard team, we've got a 2nd Space Marine team, we've got a 2nd Chaos team. These are all based on the fire teams. These are just some of the other teams they could do if you want to break it down into a fire team level thing. So I would love to see Big Sisters, proper Sisters of Battle in power armor with an upgrade sprue especially. That would be really cool. Heavy Intercessors have a fire team that aren't represented in any kind of rules. It would be interesting to see them. They have to do something interesting with those though. The Firstborn Marines, Tactical Marines and Scout Marines, I don't think it's particularly likely, but I know that there are people out there that love their Firstborn and would love to see a team based around Firstborn Space Marines come back into the game. Deathwatch I underlined because it seems particularly egregious. I know, the fact that they were bundled into just being a Space Marine fire team makes it feel really unlikely to me that Games Workshop wants to bother with them. They're probably something that's going to come into the game in year 3 of Kill Team when Games Workshop wants to actually do something with Deathwatch in 40k. Right, but it does seem weird that Deathwatch haven't been picked up upon, especially since the team kind of writes itself, because you could do plastic Primaris Deathwatch. It seems like such a no-brainer, but we haven't got it yet. Guardians, Storm Guardians, Dire Avengers, those, it seems bizarre to me, especially as we've got that brand new Guardian kit. That they haven't done anything with the kind of more traditional, Craftworld Eldar are kind of represented with the Corsair team, but if you love Craftworld Eldar, people go, well, here's your Craftworld Eldar team, it's Corsairs. And you go, Corsairs aren't really much to do with Craftworld's Games Workshop. And then Games Workshop goes, oh no, it's okay. We've given you a new unit in your Craftworld Codex called Corsairs, so now Corsairs can be the Craftworld Eldar team. It's like, well, you've given me a team that's in my codex, but only because you put the unit in my codex after you released the team, Games Workshop. I want Guardians in Kill Team, one could say. And if also, it's worth saying, it's the same thing. If I'm right about Plastic Mandrakes being the Dark Eldar team, then there'll be a lot of Dark Eldar players, if they really love Dark Eldar, out there saying, well, look, what about Cabalites or Witches? I would like a bespoke team that featured around them. I would be all over a bespoke Witches Kill Team. That would be amazing. That's the team I really wanted to play and played quite a lot in Kill Team 2018. That would be cool. Orc Looters or even Freebooters is another thing that we could do. You know, you can have looters in the compendium, but there's no kind of rules for them, so it'd be something else we could see. Or Tau stealth suits. You know, if they are gonna make some extra elite teams, if we're gonna get these Primaris Terminator equivalents that are much talked about, then why not go back and do Tau stealth suits as their own team? Tau stealth suits fit the setting a lot. It's exactly what stealth suits should do. And while we're there, let's bring back Wraithguard. That'll be kind of fun, but loads of options for Season 3. Obviously, we're not going to get through all of these, and I do think it's more important. Deathwatch players may not agree, but I do think it's more important that every sort of macro faction has something, rather than going back and giving each individual faction a new sort of fire team, a new kind of spin. I know the Deathwatch players are going to be sad because they don't see themselves as being a faction underneath Space Marines, but Games Workshop sees them that way now, so it is unfortunately what it is. Right, final thoughts. So I would love your predictions. Your predictions is what I want to see in the comments underneath the video. I've put myself out on a limb. I've revised my predictions based on the new information. You know, I'm not a zealot. I change what I think based on new information. If we get more information from Games Workshop, I will change my predictions again, and hopefully we can approach the truth. Let me know what you think. Remember, as always, these are predictions. They're things that I think based on looking at the releases, looking at past releases, looking at patterns. They're not necessarily what I want them to do, so don't get angry with me. Don't be like, how dare you not predict a Deathwatch team? I really want a Deathwatch team. Why don't you predict Deathwatch in the next box? Hey, it's not like the stock market. Me talking about it doesn't make it more likely to happen, okay? I predict the things that I think are going to happen. If you like this kind of video, I know they're popular. If you like these kinds of unfounded speculation videos, you know, there's grains of things that I think I know in there, but it's largely unfounded. Do subscribe to the channel. We're at like 880 something subscribers. We're within touching distance of 1,000 subscribers now. I'd really love to get to 1k subscribers before the end of the year. That will be amazing, so let's try and make that a possibility, please. Alright guys, thank you, cheerio, have a fantastic rest of your day, week, month, etc. Bye bye, bye bye bye.